Okay, tell me, Devansh, did you watch Goleman's speech and interview?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll discuss what is emotional intelligence and how to develop. Okay, first, what is emotional intelligence?
Should I answer?
Yes, you answer.
Sir, Goldman answers this in very simple terms. He says that emotional intelligence means how well we manage ourselves. Can we work towards our goals despite obstacles? Can we do we give up too soon, or are we resilient? Do we have a positive or negative outlook? Can we recognize the emotions of others? Can we have good and meaningful relationships? So these are the ways we can identify EI, and he has specifically divided it into four parts. So in those four, he tells what is emotional intelligence. The four are self-awareness, self-management, empathy, and social skills.
Just identify these four components, because this is one very important aspect. One is self-awareness. Self-awareness. Okay, let us discuss these four. Can you tell me where did we do this self-awareness elaborately? Devansh.
Sir, Socrates.
Exactly.
Because unexamined life, so wisdom, and then
what is the
knowing
statement
about ourselves.
What is the statement?
Unexamined life is not worth living.
Exactly. Devansh, what was your score last time in ethics paper?
Sir, sir, first time it was good, 128. But then last time I could not manage the time and it fell to 90.
Wow. 90. Where did you go wrong? I mean, managing time means where?
Sir, actually, I have allergy to temperature variation. So on that GS paper 4 days, sir, I had that very strong allergic reaction. So the first half an hour I botched it up. So then the rest of the paper, it was a challenge even to finish that paper. Somehow I managed to finish, but then it was of very poor quality.
That's true.
That when Divya told her strategy of examples, that strategy I followed in my first attempt, and it worked very well. But in the second, I could not.
Okay. But I should congratulate you that instead of thinking that, okay, I will manage time well this time, you chose to join the course.
No, sir, because I don't think that, I'm perfect. I could not just manage the time. I think I have many loopholes. So, and also I could not score very well in essay, and that can be a game changer. So overall, I want to improve.
Fine, that is good. Self-awareness, Socrates. Okay. Let me tell you, emotional intelligence is a topic where what all you know you can write. In fact, one powerful tip I can give you, not just about ethics, but about this entire civil service examination, is use the question to write what all you know, but within the parameters of that question. Within the parameters. Always stretch and stretch and stretch. Self-awareness. Finish. Socrates. And who is the next important person who spoke about self-awareness, though we didn't really do it that way, was Gandhi. Gandhi was always interested in introspection. Okay. In fact, Edinburgh missed that point. Introspection. He was always introspecting. Okay. Edinburgh also missed the point of prayer. Okay. Of course, he was doing prayer in the end. Meditation. So those spiritual aspects may not have been covered. Of course, Gandhi is too vast. But self-introspection, unexamined life is not worth living is something that Gandhi lived by. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Okay. So his book, My Experiments with Truth, is an example of examined life. Is an example of examined life. Okay. So self-awareness. Socrates is an example. Gandhi is an example. Okay. Second aspect. You can almost be sure that there will be one person on emotional intelligence, directly or indirectly. Okay. Second aspect.
Self-management.
Self-management, you can say this is emotions management, emotional regulation, more specifically. Because you listed many things which are too general. I'm making it more specific. Emotional regulation. More importantly, self-awareness also is an aspect of emotional awareness. I'm bringing it more specifically. Emotional awareness. Okay. Are you able to see the board? There is a problem?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now you are able to see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Emotional awareness. So emotional regulation, anger management, emotional regulation, emotional awareness. Okay. And third aspect.
Empathy. Empathy.
Empathy. Empathy is understanding others' emotions. Understanding others' emotions. Others' emotions. Okay, just 1 second. I'll set the camera. That refers to understanding others' emotions. Self is about emotions. Okay, next.
Sir, final social skills.
Social skills. Okay. Social skills can come from emotional intelligence. Okay, let me tell you, I did this more accurately in this book. I will give those 4 factors. You can write down. These are the 4 components of emotional intelligence. First component is accurate perception and expression of emotions. Accurate perception and expression of emotions, 2 things. Accurate perception and expression. Some people may be accurate in perception, but they may not be expressive. Okay. So it includes expression also. In fact, when you just read whether you can perceive and express. When I first read, I thought, I mean, in my estimate, I was able to perceive, I was accurate in perceiving, but I felt I was not accurate actually in expressing. So people can be different. Some feel inside, but they don't express. They feel sympathy, but others don't think that they are sympathetic. So accurate perception and expression of emotions, you can take that as first, because this is too general. And emotional regulation, fine. Anger, appropriate, inappropriate, regulation of emotions. Okay. And third is ability to understand emotional meanings. Third is understanding others' emotions and one's own emotions. For example, why are we, if we are angry, why are we angry? That is attributing to understand emotional meanings, attributing the emotion to relevant source. Emotion to source. Emotion to source is third. Okay. And let me tell you one very, very important component, the fourth one, which is usually missed, but which is an important thing in the measurement of emotional intelligence, is the ability to access and generate emotions in the service of problem solving. Use of emotions in decision making and problem solving. Use of emotions in decision making. Fourth, use of emotions in decision making. Okay. Use of emotions in decision making. So that is emotional intelligence. What is meant by use of emotions? In deciding, we use emotions. People think that they should be all fully decision making is all just intelligence. That is not true. We decide based on our emotions, and that is not wrong. That is not wrong. One person who brought out the role of emotions in decision making, which Goleman quotes, is and it is how I got to know about this person, Antonio Damasio. Damasio says emotions are useful in decision making. Purely, if you are using only intelligence, you will list alternatives, you will list consequences. But after listing alternatives and consequences, how do you finally decide on a particular choice? Damasio says that is emotional act. Okay, the video I posted, that is in more advanced. It didn't explain the basics. The basics explained in old videos, 12 years, 13 years. I thought you should listen to his latest position. So that is why I posted that video, though better videos might be possible. Okay, so 4 components: emotional awareness, that is perception and expression and regulation, and what is the third thing? Understanding others' emotions and use of emotions in the decision making. Can one explain what is meant by use of emotions in decision making? That is to, for example, you wanted to decide on the optional. Okay. Okay. For example, Divansh. Okay, deciding on an optional or deciding on the course. What happens is that you just think of, okay, this optional, engineering optional, and that this. You will work on what is good, pros and cons on this, pros and cons on this, pros and. But finally, what do you choose? That choice is based on emotions. And with that choice, you won't really think about so many alternatives. For example, you may have considered, say, for example, you may have been an engineering student, but did you work out all the possibilities and consequences of engineering as an optional? May not have. You just thought of engineering and then repelled by it. Oh my God, I had enough. Did you think of chemistry, for example? Oh, it was not rational calculation. So out of emotion, you reject many things. Finally, calculations are about few. And even after that, finally emotions operate. That's how decisions are made. I don't know if I am clear. Take time. So decisions are not purely rational. Purely rational doesn't make sense. Do you know how Damasio came to understand this? He came across one patient, one person who had a surgery, brain surgery for some purpose, because something went wrong. And after the brain surgery, doctor said it was perfect, surgery was successful. But after that, he lost everything. He lost his job, he lost his friends, and his wife left him. And he didn't know what was going on. And he approached Damasio that I underwent a surgery and doctors said it was a successful, but so many things happened after the surgery. I don't know what is happening. So Damasio said, okay, we will meet one day. Can we meet on Monday? Then he said, Monday, I have this problem. Fine, we can meet. He is not able to decide. Tuesday, then he said plus minus, not able to decide. Wednesday, Thursday. Damasio was shocked by his behavior. He was able to give so many reasons of plus minus for an appointment, but he was not able to decide which day he wanted to come. So Damasio thought something that was some part of the brain that was supposed to take the decision was affected. And later he understood his cognitive part and emotional part got delinked during that operation, which means his thinking was not aided by emotions. He was just thinking. There was no zeroing in on an option because it was detached from the emotion. What is an emotion? Emotion is plus and minus, huge pluses and minuses. So when you finally intellectually work out everything, the plus and minus will settle it. Okay. So he was not able to settle because the cognitive part, that is cortex, where so much of thinking would go on, and emotional part, where the amygdala plays a role, was disconnected. The cognitive part is here, amygdala is somewhere else. There is a disconnect between emotional part and the cognitive part. So he was thinking and not able to decide on anything. So it means that emotions play a role in making the final choice. So part of emotional intelligence is use of emotions to decision making. You use emotions to see whether somebody is right or whether you should decide whether you should do that or not do that. Okay, whether if you do this, are you going to be happy or unhappy? Okay, so you can think about what finally made you decide on the course. Okay, where you felt, okay, this is not about rational thing, but this somehow like that. So whatever. So in many decisions, you finally think of some emotion fixing, freezing, zeroing in on one option. What do you say, Devansh? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So Damasio is my favorite person. This book consists of 3 images: Buddha and Socrates, Damasio. We are going to do only a small part of Damasio in this course. Okay. So Damasio worked out the role of emotions in the behavior. Okay. And Goleman is Goleman took it from the study made by Peter Salovey and John Mayer, and who first suggested there are 4 critical components of emotional intelligence, popular. And they also developed a way to measure these 4 components. So when I ask students normally tell other things. That is, emotional regulation is the first thing that comes to their mind. understanding others' emotions, that is the second thing. Okay, but they don't think use of emotions in decision making is one very important thing, which is helpful in leadership qualities. You are in a position to assess, you are in a position to choose, make right choices. The point is, amount of thinking and thinking, rational thinking alone will not help you to decide. Some people will feel instantly this is right. Okay, but they may be wrong. But they may be wrong also, but there is no guarantee. But even after thinking also, you can be wrong. But instant thing. Okay, something like love at first sight. How do you explain love at first sight? And is it good? Who is thinking about love these days? Maybe they can answer. Sunil, you have love problems?
That is, sir, but that is kind of biological response, right? Love at first sight.
Biological response. You think love is biological?
Oh, kind of, it is generated out of human.
But what is that? How do you explain love at first sight? Did you have any experience of love at first sight?
No.
Well, and is it bad? Maybe Deepthi has strong views on that matter. So Deepthi?
No, sir, I don't have any strong views on that matter.
So why don't people who have strong views say it? Karim?
Sir, can't be explained.
Can't be explained.
Yes, sir.
That's true. Why can't it be explained?
Sir, I don't think everything is explainable or understandable. There are limits. We just think that humans can understand and explain everything.
Okay. So should one go by love at first sight, or should one reason out and then should have reasons to find love? Haven't you seen in movies where the father
Reasoning is robotic.
I'll just tell you, father says, I'll give you 100 reasons why you should marry the girl of my choice. Whereas hero says, the heroine says, you can give 100 reasons, but love is beyond reasons. And our love is the only reason. You don't have to have any other reason. What do you say, Devansh?
Sir, maybe one day an AI can develop an algorithm where it helps to choose partner, but before that, I mean, humans cannot decide rationally and logically. Humans decide
humans
emotionally.
can't decide. How will AI decide?
By looking all at our, I mean, social media activities and how we use our devices and
That
what
is
we
true,
like.
but we should give the feedback, right? Anyway, we will do AI topic later. This is one of the essays we'll cover. But it will only go by the data that we give and also what we can learn. It can learn from the data. If we have no clue, it will not have a clue. Anyway, leaving AI, which we will discuss in detail later. But you can tell me. Well, how do you explain? Okay, when we see a snake, what is our instant feeling?
Some harm.
Harm at first sight, or some reflection and thinking and you feel harm?
Frightened.
At first sight or after reflection?
Sir, at first sight.
Why is it so? So the idea of danger is already inbuilt in the emotional side. Okay. So for example, if you see, suppose it is a snake you fear, and then you fear after some time also. But suppose it is a rope. You think it is a snake and you fear, Then after few seconds, you realize it is a rope and you don't fear. Do you know what happens? So why after realizing it is a rope, you don't fear? Because it is harmless. So do you know, this is how data travels. There is amygdala. External data goes to amygdala first. Okay. And part of the data also goes to cortex. And from cortex, it goes to amygdala also. So this is one road and this is another road. So when you fear, this data went to amygdala, you feared. But the same data, part of it went to cortex, processed, rope saw, no more fear. Do you know, we constantly do this two kind processing. Okay. Is this picture clear to you? Instant amygdala. But then part of the data goes to the cortex also. And then processing takes place there. So instant reaction is one thing. And after reflection reaction is another. It means there are two levels of decision making in us. But tell me, are these two important or should one go away?
Both are important.
Why?
Certain situations demand immediate response, and in situations.
Exactly. Certain situations demand immediate response. Suppose it is really a snake, isn't it? This response would be appropriate. But if it is a rope, this response would be appropriate. So do you know how we came to be like this? In fact, in the beginning, at a primitive level, we had only amygdala. And later, as brain evolved, this intelligence developed. What is going on at amygdala level is that previous experience stamped, recognized the danger without seeing how this thing might be different. So these are called instinctual responses. And then intellectual response. Okay, so over the primitive thing, evolution took place. That is why in this book I had one cartoon. I'll just explain. There's an old model car. The child is complaining, you can't ask me to convert this into a racing car. This is not fair, daddy. Child is saying, you gave me an old car and you want me to a racing car. This is not fair, daddy. The father is saying, my dear son, this is how God designed us. You find fault with his model. So what God designed is that he didn't recreate from fresh. So basically we were functioning at amygdala level, but bipedalism, freeing up of hands, brain developed, zoop, like this. When an animal became man, or four-legged animal became bipedal, cortex developed. But the old thing remained. Not only the old thing remained, the final decision is made on the basis of the old thing. So if Socrates and Aristotle thought that essence of human being is rational, they are right. In that sense, human species are different from others because of this, not at the emotional level. Tell me if this is clear to you. Dipti, is it clear? Deepthi, is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Can you repeat once again the rational part?
This is the emotional part. This is how life evolved. And then later, as brain expanded, cortex came, rational part came. How did brain come about? Anthropology says that under certain circumstances, people started walking bipedal using tools, because of which brain expanded. When brain expanded, cortex activity. Basic difference between human being and others is this here. As we started using more, it increased, its size increased. So the defining feature of Homo sapiens sapiens is rational thought. But remember, this rational thought is operating on the emotional base. So we have this and this. Okay, in fact, at one level, you tend to decide like this, but after thinking, you decide in some other way. In fact, if there are electronic equipments where you brain activity is measured, others can tell you what decision you are going to make, and they will tell you before you make the decision, because they have the data at this level. Studies are there. You are going to switch this side or that side. They know more than before you decided. So if you go by what you feel, they will be right. But if you say, no, I'm feeling like this, but I will do the opposite, then they will not be able to guess. But they know what you feel like.
You mean the instruments?
Exactly, instruments. Why? Because amygdala goes by previous data. Previous experience is stamped, plus minus. So love at first sight is something like going by your previous thought you liked. It's like that. It is so much of accumulated emotional data, but unprocessed. We don't know how this situation could be different. So love at first sight goes by the previous data. As you interact, you will see that is a different thing. Okay. So that is rational activity.
The previous
Just
data.
Just one second. So we have the previous data.
What is previous data?
Previous data is past experience stamped. For example, why do we fear snake? Past experience. It may not be even from this life or from Homo sapiens. It may have come from even across lives and across biological spectrum. Previous data stamped.
So can you explain it with an example, sir? And elaborate on
that? Okay, I don't know. Maybe for example, is it possible that we assume that the fair complexion person is more intelligent? You don't assume?
Yes.
Then only I have that bias. I usually think lean and fair people are likely to be more intelligent. You please think about it. Why class or whatever. So previous association of Brahmin or whatever, like that. You please think about it. You have to look keenly.
I can connect, sir.
Hmm?
Sir, I can connect now.
Thank you.
My biases, which I can see now.
So previously you thought, or girl whom you liked may have been physically closer to somebody whom you loved before, somebody you missed. So instantly, yes, she's like my mother. This is like that, like this. Previous associations. They may be reasonable and they may not be reasonable. But remember, that is the previous data. That is what Damasio is saying. You can't ignore. So love at first sight is a data, but that need not be the final data. Data of past embedded in you. Maybe your mother looked like that, your father looked like that, your close friend looked like that. And when you instantly dislike, he resembled somebody with whom you had bad experience, you are bound to something like that. Just like your instant hatred of snake or instant fear of the snake, you don't think. That is the previous data. So all the past data is embedded in this, all emotions embedded here. You know how lower forms negotiate life? Lower forms simply go by emotions. That is how they move around. They don't think much. If the previous experience, in the previous experience, they got food, then positive. They got hurt, negative. So plus minus, that is how they negotiate with the world. What the human being does is that he has plus minus plus cortex. It means, listen, this is the source of freedom. You are not going only by your previous experience. So it means you are more intelligent than others. Which means you have the past intelligence plus new intelligence. So what is emotion? It is simply experience accumulated. It has a reason of its own. It is entire reason accumulated. So if you think instantly this is it so, you don't have to take it final. But remember, that is an important data. You may not be able to find out why so, but that is a source. It is the previous data. It is saying this person is good or this person is bad. Okay. So you can accept those feelings and find out why is it like this? Because the present one may not be the repetition of the past. Like this is rope only, not snake. Though on the first sight, it looked like snake. So Damasio says, you think and think, but finally, on the basis of feelings or emotions, you act. Okay, so that is why I want you to look at closely your decision making. You know, I don't know if you come across people, some people you may have come across in your life. They have more intuitive sense. They can't explain, but they often know who is right. So they may tell you, see, I can sense that he is not suitable to you. You be careful.
Yes, sir. They can't give reasons, but
exactly.
they are right.
They are right. And not only that, they are not right in that context. Usually they have higher intuitive ability. Okay, so just 1 second. It is essentially some kind of previous data, some higher intelligence. We'll look into that. But what is important is that we should regard this activity is only a part of life, not everything. That is the point. Emotion is huge past data. Thinking is the present processing. Okay. This evolved over years. This recent. And human evolution took place like this. Difference between animal and human. Technically, human is an animal, but the way we use the words, human and animal is this amount of the brain size. Huge explosion took place in the past millions of years. So rational activity hyped up. But remember, that was operating on the emotional base. Okay. So where are we? Okay, one concept, emotional hijacking. Goleman uses this concept. Emotional hijacking means, see, similar to taking rope as a snake, somebody insults you, without thinking you react. Amygdala level. That is hijacking. You are hijacked by amygdala response, not processed. So what modern man faces is not physical threats, but essentially psychological threats. Insult is like a snake. So what historically in an evolutionary sense was physical, now is mostly psychological. We rarely face threat to life, but we face insults, humiliation, all kinds of rewards and punishments. It is not to the body, but to the mind. But reactions are similar. So whether you can respond at amygdala level or you process and respond. That's Damasio's thinking is that simple cortex activity will not help. You have to finally choose, and that is done by plus minus, and that plus minus is there at amygdala level, not in the brain. So what is love at first sight? It is without cortex, amygdala response. But subjected to cortex, it may withstand or it may not withstand. Amygdala is old associations. You are very close to somebody and this particular person resembled. So old things are revived. You don't know why, like that. And lower forms go by this level only with minimum cortex, and cortex kept on increasing. Now questions. Karim, you wanted to ask something.
Yes, sir. So, as per Damasio, if we go through what we reason through this cortex and then decide finally by
Through
this amygdala.
Through amygdala.
So, what if both are contradicting, sir? So, I mean, spontaneously, I might
Exactly. It is such contradictions only we say, my mind says you are, I shouldn't marry you, but my heart says I should. So instead of calling amygdala, we call it heart. I can't reason. Just 1 second. I can't reason. I can't explain, but my heart says. In fact, the girl asks you, I mean, I'm putting it in terms of girl because boys are less likely to ask this question. Girl ask you, do you love me? Tell me why. And if the boy, like a stupid, explains 3 reasons, girl will be disappointed. She would like to be told, we can't describe it. I just feel it. You don't think so? Heart should feel. If you can explain it through mind, you are inferior love. So that is what is meant by heart mind. Heart is actually not here. Heart there is only pumping system. There is nothing there. So heart is taken as an emotional center. This is taken as thinking center. Why people undermine thinking is that thinking can get into a variety of ways. It can reason in one way today and it can reason in another way tomorrow. In fact, all serious people question thinking. That is part of power shapes knowledge. Marx thought as long as you are a capitalist, you are bound to think wrongly. So people are critical of thinking, and there is a point. And what was Rawls' thing? That your position makes you think in a particular way. That is again critical of thinking. So people have understood that this is a cunning thing. So that is why in love, you are not supposed to explain. You are supposed to say, I just feel it. It is hard. But the point is, just 1 second, but the point is, even this heart also is not beyond reason. It is simply accumulated memory. So if there is a conflict between why I feel this way, but I can't explain, okay, it is a heart-mind conflict. In one serial I was watching, I mean, they know that it's like this, but they can't explain. Why is it like this? I know she must be this person, but all evidence shows that is not. Okay. In fact, some people propose we don't really pay attention to all the possible signals. We pay attention to only some signals, but in fact, the brain and we have capacity to get more signals. That is a different subject altogether. We don't pay attention to all the signals. Our so-called science made us blind to many other possibilities. There are more possibilities. Okay. But even after all that, the issue of accumulation versus the new remains. So snake versus rope is part of the is the nature of the problem. If you can take everything as rope, you are vulnerable. You have to see the possibility of a snake. But if you can't process, again you are vulnerable. You are going by your emotion and you don't see. So that is why it is important to respect both heart and mind. And of course, we can be wrong. We can be wrong at the heart level and we can be wrong at the mind level. But because we can be wrong at the mind level, I don't think we should go by heart level. That is what some people think, but that is not, that I don't think so, because heart also is accumulated experience. It is not mystical process. Tell me, are these clear? Karim, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, sir. And one doubt I have, sir, this amygdala concept, will it be related to biological inheritance also? Like, I mean, it's not biological, or only that particular person's.
Most people would say that is or it is accumulation of past evolutionary history, because we are carrying the past. It is not only our life experience, it is accumulation. Okay, it is just that scientifically they say accumulation, but even those who have a different conception also think in terms of previous lives. Whether there are previous lives or not, definitely if you take the assumption that evolution didn't start from us, right? It is accumulation. Everything is changing. Traits are changing. Okay, if we became compassionate or like this through evolutionary process, it is accumulation. It is simply body growing to a particular point and dropping, but leaving its seeds in a new form. It is like that. Accumulation.
Sir, there was an example also, right? Sir, a rat's example. There was one like experiment, like where he has left a rat, the first generation, into a puzzled environment. And one exit. So generation by generation, rats took less time to find out the exit path.
Exactly.
So is it
It's
something?
similar. It is similar to that. So essentially, accumulation versus something new. That is the point. So we need to pay attention to both. It is the accumulated data versus new data. Okay. Accumulated data is useful for quick responses, but quick responses can go wrong. Emotional hijacking concept is referring to where we are going wrong. So this is the story of heart. I think you follow it right now. Okay, next, any other questions? Now we'll get back to emotional intelligence. So just one second. Decision making, you think, but essentially applying emotion is something different. So I only reasoned it in terms of past versus the present, but we don't know the full story of the past. We don't know the full story. Okay, so that is why you say, I feel it, I feel it. So there is no reason to disregard it. That's my point. You don't have to go solely by it, but there is no reason to disregard it. That's simply the old data and this is the present data. So you learn to respect heart, I think, from now onwards. Okay.
The emotional hijacking, so that alone.
Emotional hijack means you are going by the emotion wrongly.
So which part of the brain would be responsible?
Amygdala part. You are going by amygdala and you are not thinking. Somebody insulted you and I will see your end. That thinking. Emotional hijacking. Okay. Not subjecting to processing.
Yes.
Definitely, what would be emotional intelligence? Not going only by amygdala, but subject to processing. These are the emotions. Okay, I'm going by my past now. Now process. Is it really like this? Can I think? Remember, it's part of intelligence to know that when you are charged, you can't think rationally. Take time. You should fully be convinced that you can't really behave intelligently when you are angry. Unless that is a decision that has to be taken on that moment, you need not take. Take time. After some time, the things will appear differently. Just take time. So Damasio says in the right decision making, cortex is used, amygdala is used, connection. And in the patient that he came across, this is disconnected. So he was finding it a problem to decide. So what are the four components? Those are the four components. Okay. Perception and expression, understanding others, regulation, and use of emotions in the decision making and problem solving. Okay. Okay. Now, Devansh, now go back to your presentation.
Yes, sir. Sir, these were the 4 points that he gave. I mean, this was the crux of it.
Okay. What are the things that you liked in his presentation?
Sir, he actually, after watching him, I realized the importance of emotional intelligence vis-a-vis IQ, because he explains very well that how IQ has a strong floor effect. So once we are in a certain league, we find that people around us are as smart as we are.
Exactly.
So the difference maker will be emotional intelligence. I mean, as a civil services aspirant, this is important because we tend to focus on IQ and not EI.
Exactly.
And somehow, I mean, I feel that I also lag in EI because the more he explained it, the more I thought that I have been thinking more robotically in all these years.
Okay. During your graduation or afterwards, did you think that some people have more emotional intelligence and though they are academically less brilliant or less performing? Did you come across such cases?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have come across people. Some of them are very brilliant in both managing their emotions as well as understanding others. I mean, I always think of them that if they can crack this exam, they will be incredible civil servants, eye of the apple of everybody. So so I have come across such people, and I also want to become like them. And it was very nice to hear that Goleman said that EI can be learned, so it is not something inherent or by birth. Sir, some people have high emotional intelligence. That what I felt. I even hold some of them to be sort of a role model. I mean, I want to be like them because they seem to be always happy even when they are faced with challenges. They can manage their emotions. Also, they have very good relations with others. They have good social skills, a big friend circle. So those are emotionally intelligent people, and I met them.
Okay. Though in an academic performance, they may not be the best.
Yes, sir. Many of them struggle academically, but otherwise, in this, I mean, social and emotional sense, they do very well.
What is this thing called floor effect that Goleman was referring to?
Sir, he talks in terms of engineers. So he said that study has shown that most of the engineers have IQ around 115 or more. So he says that when one becomes an engineer and say joins a corporation, so you will find that most of your peers will have about the same IQ. There cannot be a huge variance. But when it comes to emotional intelligence, there is a huge variance. So he gave an example of two MIT graduates. They joined a big company. One of the graduate, he used to code all day sitting alone. And the other graduate, she went to people asking, what are you doing and can I help you with it? And then he says that both of their career paths were very different, although in IQ terms, they were similar. So that is the base effect.
So on the same floor, they were standing almost on the same floor. Above the floor, who has extra? That's what he meant.
Sir, he means to say that I cannot be better than you in terms of IQ by a huge margin. But in terms of EI, I can be better than you by a very big margin.
So he is not saying IQ doesn't have effect, but among engineers who are more or less equal in IQ, then the difference is EQ.
Yes,
it is
sir.
like that.
Yes.
Okay. So it is not that IQ has no value, but it is that if you take a group where IQ levels is within the same range, then EQ is making all the difference. That is the point he is making, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
That is what he meant by floor effect.
Yes. Then he talks of leaders. He says that in today's world, leaders need emotional intelligence because they have people under them who have all the technical competence. So all they need is to have that skill to manage people. They don't need that technical competence themselves.
So can we say IQ is getting subordinated by EQ? EQ is to manage the people with IQ, isn't it?
Yes, sir. There is more realization of its importance.
Okay, that's good. Okay, next stage is, can something be done about it, and why some people have more of it and some have less of it? That is the issue. Can it be learnable, or is it learnable? Can it be learned? And how can we teach to children, and how can we teach to employees, or is it a hopeless exercise?
Yes, sir. He repeats it many times that it is learnable. Although he says that when one learns in childhood, it is anatomically learned. So it becomes an ingrained part of us. As we age, we have old habits. So they take some time to break, and then we have to ingrain new habits. But then he says that it is learnable. We can improve. There are scientific ways to learn it.
Okay. Okay. Bharat, did you watch this video? Bharat? Okay. Deepthi, did you watch this video? Can you answer that question on the learnability of emotional intelligence?
Sir, I have not watched the video.
You have not watched. Okay. Okay. Devansh, you continue then. Karim, you want to say it? You want to say how emotional intelligence can be learned?
Sir, only first half I was able to go through. So,
Go
like
through.
morning
Okay.
I had only half.
Fine, fine. Sunil, did you watch?
Sir, I watched, but okay, I will try.
Okay.
So
No,
understanding.
what are you? That's fine. But about what are your observations on what we discussed? Do you think this has some sense, or it has some sense, but it is not significant? What do you say?
Sir, I feel it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Emotional intelligence in these days is really important to understand oneself. And
Okay.
I feel it summarizes all that we have done till now and puts it into the what is really happening in terms of biology and evolution.
Okay. Okay. What did you say? Last sentence? It makes sense.
Sir, whatever we have learned till now, Socrates, empathy,
Okay.
sympathy,
Mm.
categorical imperative,
Mm-hmm.
all that is derived from what we are doing now today, emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm finding that today what we are doing, emotional intelligence, is a root of all what we have already discussed.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
What is your view of yourself, Sunil? Do you think you have more IQ or more EQ? How are you regarded by your
I
friends?
feel I'm average, not that good in IQ, and I lack EQ significantly. Like
You lack or you have?
I lack EQ significantly. I am like somewhere around 30-40 in EQ.
We don't know the scales. Oh,
So let's say we are comparing it with the scales of IQ.
okay. Mm-hmm.
So that way.
Okay.
Maybe it is because of the, I mean, though I think EQ is also due to the people where they hail from, the religion, the caste, their financial position. So all have its bearing on EQ. So person who is coming from
How can you
very,
tell me how caste plays a role in on EQ?
so I don't know if it makes sense because,
That's
but if
okay.
someone says he is from, let's say, a really good caste, so he'll be, of course, outspoken. I mean, since there won't be any barriers, there won't be any chance of discriminating him. So
Wow.
I'm thinking that way. So he won't have that kind of notion at the back of mind that if I do something like that, that would come with the caste. But if someone is from a lower caste, he will always have the fear. If I do something, if I cross the line, there could be a situation where it could trouble my family or my whole society as a whole. So I think EQ also has a bearing from where the person comes from, not just, I mean, of course, the experience. I mean, his background also plays. It's not that just that the normal situation plays a role. So that is my
But
understanding.
can't that's good. Please express. But can't background inhibit EQ? Because suppose you come from a privileged background, then you don't have feedback systems. Whatever you say, he rules, and he will not have the ability to understand and listen to others.
That is true.
Haven't you seen the children of powerful people who don't have any sympathy, who can't understand anything because they have all the privileges?
That is true. That is true. Yes, that is right, actually. So I think it works both on the upper rung and the lower rung, but the middle rung is normal.
Okay. Maybe that is so. Whether one is subjected to fear is an issue. Whether one has that security or not is an issue. Okay. Don't you think home ambience plays a very important role, whether the child is accepted or not accepted?
Yes, exactly. So that's coming from my experience. So I went to boarding school from 6th standard. So what my mom thinks is before 6th, I was very affectionate to her. But after my boarding school and coming out of 12th standard, I mean, I completely changed. I no more care about anyone. I mean,
You were in a hostel?
Yeah, I was in the hostel.
Okay.
So I don't know if she is correct, but that's her outlook. I don't know how far she is correct.
What is that?
That's her outlook. I don't know if she is correct or not.
Okay. So ambience plays an important role. Acceptance, empathetic environment, or whether you are subjected to ruthlessness. Okay. Extreme selfishness, competition.
It's also, so we can say it's an evolving thing. Even in the current life, it is evolving.
Sure. But in what sense?
Like it generates a feedback and we register it. So every feedback is registered. So it is keeps evolving till the last of, till the person lives.
So it means we can emotionally be more intelligent or we can get dumb. Both are possibilities.
Yeah, if not controlled, we can get dumb.
So if we are learning, we can be more intelligent, but if we refuse to learn, we may be dumb, lose our appreciation of others. Okay. Gautam, you have something to say?
No, sir.
Devansh, you can continue.
Yes, sir. So for that, how we become emotionally intelligent?
Okay, now I'm asking a specific question. You are the leader of an organization, and tell me how you can go about this. Is a more specific question. How, as a leader of the organization, or how you are the manager, you can improve the emotional intelligence of your subordinates. Okay, you tell me that. Please.
Sir, I could use 2 exercises which Goleman himself tells in the interview.
Okay.
So he gives 2 exercises which I could organize. First was the exercise to increase resilience, and he had defined resilience in terms of EI, and the second was to increase empathy. These exercises are deep breathing exercise and the circle of caring exercise. And these are very simple short exercises. So 2 EI components can be targeted through that. And sir, the rest of the components can be targeted by creating an atmosphere of emotional intelligence, because he says that emotions are contagious. So if we are in the company of people who are themselves emotionally intelligent, we hold them as role models, and then we learn EI ourselves. So first, as a leader, I have to imbibe that in myself. I have to learn it myself. Then I can manage the emotions of my team as well as myself, and then those values can permeate.
What is the role of openness in communication? That plays an important role, right? Feedback, criticism. Isn't it?
Yes, sir. He says that when we are open and we can share our deepest thoughts and feelings, it creates intimacy between 2 people, because it shows trust, and that intimacy goes a long way in creating strong bonds between people. And that is part of being emotionally connected, and hence contributes to our emotional stability.
Okay, let us go through some questions. So anything else?
Sir, I have a question.
Please.
Sir, so in the workplace where I worked previously, so sir, I find that the people in India focus more on IQ than EQ.
That's true.
So I found that the leader of the organization where I worked, so had fired some people. I mean, a good number of people. And he was not that good with the EQ, but still he was retained and he is doing good for the bank and everything. So we can say in the Indian context, it doesn't make much difference, but in the outer world, it makes. Is that too good? Is that correct?
I am not sure. Because whether it is India or not, don't you think a leader should be in a position to get along with his team members? Maybe you have an example of a bad leader.
Okay.
how should a leader be in a position to actually, you can think of your own batchmates in your college and others who are successful, who are not successful. For example, how many people will simply, I don't know whether you are in a position to imagine, some people are particularly high scorers, but very soon they burn out. In fact, that is what is going on now. People start JE preparation from 8th class. Burn, study. And by the time they finish engineering, they are out. They don't have relationship, they don't have resilience, and they just do very regular kind of activity. Whereas some people don't do well academically, but they have reservoir of energy and they actually flourish after the graduation. The people who people who cry for missing the first rank are the people who are most vulnerable for emotional problems. And many people are becoming like that now. Want 100%, only top grade, cry for getting the second rank, you should win in life. Is all emotional destruction. They are not in a position to take failure. They carry so much of baggage. So because they can't accept failure, they can't accept criticism, they run, they choose corner, they can't take risk. That is why a huge gap is taking place in India between IQ and EQ. Those who are doing well academically are not the people who are doing well in career. Do you know, coming to civil service examination, why these reforms are introduced? In certain years before these changes of essay and interview increase, many people from IIT Kanpur were getting in the first 20 ranks with electrical engineering and physics. Huge scores. And some of them became miserable in their examination. In one case, he was actually some institute, our college only. He got first rank. And the difference between the first ranker and second rank is so high that he would have be a topper even without interview. It is like that. He made it, I think, with physics and mathematics. But he was a poor performer in the job. So they realized that something else is going on. So they thought that there should be some other way of testing. Not that they succeeded. And so they introduced essay paper and then increased interview marks from 250 to 300. They made those changes and they increased the choice in those, reduced the choice in maths and engineering and many other things. They just wanted to cut down the size of that stream, and after that results drastically changed. So because that's what they realized. So that is the problem they felt about engineers, but that is true in general. Because they're just working in one narrow lane and burning themselves very, very early. Because there is no expansion, there is no introspection, there is no reading of the society, there is no connection. Work on a micro way, and then in this process lose. That's what is happening. So I don't think that India is, this concept is not relevant to India. It is more relevant because we are not paying attention to. In fact, I came across one engineering college where, all the floors, they have iron grid like this, okay. I mean, along the corridor. When we asked why, they said so that students don't commit suicide. I mean, are you not shocked by this? Don't you think the more important problem is why should a college be where people should want to commit suicide? And if they want to commit suicide, that should be taken as a serious problem. But, so if they can't jump this way, there are other ways of committing suicide. And the tragedy of the present day India is that parents also feel safe. Yes, good. There are some measures taken. Shouldn't parents think that if the child is capable of committing suicide, then something has gone basically wrong, and it doesn't matter whether he becomes an engineer or not? There is no such thinking. This is a tragedy of not paying attention to anything other than the academic performance. Student suicides are a result of failure of emotional intelligence of not just the students, but the entire academic community. In fact, these are all the reasons why UPSC introduced with some good intention, but that also is corrupted. I'm sure you are learning in these classes, but I don't think in ethics classes anybody is learning anything. What I liked in Divya's approach is that Divya's answers are really good, but there are so many people whom I interviewed, they made the examination very cheap. Okay, there is no learning anywhere. It's just about how to crack. These are not teachers, these are mercenaries. We train you to attack this examination, and they say, we refuse to teach you the subject. Okay, we tell you how to crack this examination. We will not mislead you into thinking that you should learn the subject. Wow. These are mercenaries. There is no education. It's the collapse of the system. Rottenness. Politicians want votes, intellectuals want readership, and the teachers want more students. Who should point out what is truth? Isn't it? So, system is collapsing. That is the reason why you see so many among the terrorists, there are more engineers. That is, somebody said that is one important reason why these topics should be introduced for engineers. Among communal organizations, many engineers. Why? Lack of understanding. There is something drastically going wrong. So it has many repercussions. So on the whole, social science is neglected academically, and along with that, emotional part is neglected. Extremely narrow on this extremely narrow area, so much is going on. Okay, so in India, it is more relevant because education in other countries, it is much more student friendly, more creative, more open. Indian education is very bad. Okay, Anurag, you want to say something? Please.
Sir, capitalism.
Do you agree with me or you have reservations?
Sir, I am agree with you. Plus, there are some addition. I want capitalism plus small family means small family. What small family create problem? Communication gap is the most problematic. There is a communication gap between children and parents, children and grandparents. Grandparents are mostly the emotional source, main source of emotional intelligence in villages, I think.
No, that's true. But there is a lot of changes going on. Parents are changing. You know, in many movies, in good movies, father is very, very disciplined and mother is very pampering. Why? Father knows the world, he is educated, and mother is being illiterate, he is pampering. But now both are educated and both are strict and child is destroyed. Isn't it so? So many students are preferring hostel. Why? In a hostel, For 100 students, there may be one warden, but in a home, for one student, 2 wardens. So teacher-warden ratio is very, very bad. So many people are wanting to stay out. So home, which is supposed to be a source of acceptance, love, and emotional competence, is not doing that function. It became competitive. All because do something, be something. I mean, that's what is happening. Anurag, Anurag, is that what you are pointing out?
Yes, sir.
Basically, be this, be that, be this. Number one, success. And if you are not successful, you are good for nothing. Home has become a hot zone. This is a destruction of emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence calls for security, sense of acceptance. Whatever you do, you are our love. Giving freedom at the same time, not pampering in a negative way. Responsibility. Teach responsible, teach independence, but emotionally accepting ambience. These are all the things that are changing because of rise of ambition. Okay. So they say something, do something, be something, but actually conditions are not conducive to become something. If they have really created conditions, and if you work, you can make it, maybe that is better. But you will know actually such a system is not created. Such a system is not created, but you are pushed. If you will do this. No, that is not true actually. And all this leads to wounds. Where is emotional intelligence? There is no acceptance of oneself. There is no acceptance of the world. How can one be emotionally intelligent? And let me tell you, this is all source of corruption. Why? A student comes out wounded. When he comes out wounded, how can he be empathetic to others? He will say, this is my time for revenge. This is a dysfunctional society. So honesty, integrity are not simply a matter of following rules. They call for affection, they call for sympathy, they call for consideration. And when you grow up wounded, how will you be considerate to others? Remember, we have so far discussed what is justice and all that, but it boils down to the question, even if you know what is justice, why should you be just? Isn't it? Why should you be just? If you say, no, I enjoy being unjust, what can we do? So what is happening? Let us look inside. That is the issue of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a forum, is a concept. Look into all these issues. Why are they not able to go by their emotions? Why are they not able to respect their emotions? Why are they not able to connect to people? Why don't they have sympathy? Why do they fail as leaders? Why helping them doesn't give them happiness? Doing a job properly doesn't give them happiness. These are all the issues. What do you say, Devansh?
Sir, when you mentioned this, I remember when I went to Delhi, I met a girl. She was in class 4th. And then she told me that once she got 19 out of 20 in a test, and she was crying before telling her mother because she was scared of her.
See.
And that is the kind of competition they have in those big schools. And I mean, I was amazed that 19 and then she's crying.
That is the definition of the rottenness. That is rottenness. rottenness photographed. That's it. You got it right.
And sir, she wanted to go and play in parks, but then her mother used to give her all that. You have to study at 4 and 5. So when I asked, do you go to parks? So she said, no, I study all day.
Yes, yes.
The students who go to park, they are spoiled ones, according to them.
That's true. That is a rottenness. So how will they relate to? How will they respect themselves? Okay. And just look at the amount of disrespect you may develop over yourself during the preparation. You may think 10 hours per day, 12 hours. Some stupid dranker said, okay, 14 hours like that. And then you study only 8 hours. Oh my God. Oh, 4 hours. I'm bad today. Who gave you that goal? Who said that if you study, you will be like this? Why do you accept all that? And now you finally condemn yourself. So are these conducive to self-acceptance? They're not. And you carry so much of burden. Always with a burden you walk. And when you carrying so much of burden, can you give way to others who is coming on towards you? No. You'll say, I am carrying weight. You get out. So how can there be sympathy? And when somebody complains anything, you will think, so you think I suffer less? No. You should have the sense of happiness to feel sympathetic towards others. When you are suffering, you feel if somebody is complaining to you, you will feel, how dare you say it when my problem is bigger than yours. So these are not the ways by which child can live happily or know how to live happily. Useless knowledge at the end of it. So this is not the way to educate. It's the destruction. Okay, that is why we don't really create great leaders. We don't generate leadership. It is just that some imitation. If somebody, it is just doing the same thing on a large scale in an imitative way. That is what is going on. This is not the source of creativity. This is not the source of happiness. So if one has to be happy and creative, emotions should be a part. Emotional intelligence should be a part. So emotional intelligence is a concept where we look into many non-academic things. That is the point. And also this is a concept where an individual is linked to larger society because it's about relating to others, feeling others, be concerned, understanding, so much. Okay. In my opinion, what can be done? I think what I understood is that students or the adults should first learn to recognize and make a note of emotions. What am I feeling? So if somebody says I am bad, I ask, why do you think so? Like that. Accept, work on yourself, write about yourself, maintain a diary, talk about yourself, listen to others, be open. When somebody criticizes, don't run away. See whether it can be right or wrong. And when somebody says something negative about himself, accept. So trust, acceptance, and seeing the negative in you, accepting the negative in another person. My approach, one very simple thing I can tell you is Write about yourself. Just write every day. Okay. This is what I felt. This is what I thought. This is what I was offended by. I was praised. I felt happy. That's how you get self-awareness. And once you are aware of yourself, you will be aware of others also. You become more attentive. Remember, this whole thing of self-knowledge boils down to only one thing. That is learning to accept the negative in you. If you accept the negative, then you don't mind looking at yourself boldly and openly. But if you don't accept, then you will resist. Accept that and you work on. Okay, Goleman talks about mindfulness, meditation, and breathing exercises, but I know there are better ways. Okay, we'll discuss mindful meditation and other things, but what I would suggest is self-awareness. Examine, experiment, write. How writing helps? Writing is amounts to thinking so many times. In fact, you may think that you should concentrate while studying and you are not able to concentrate. Solution to that also is to write. Some few thoughts are coming to your mind again and again. You want to say, no, I don't want to think about that girl. No, I don't want to. I want to study. So what you should do is just let that girl come. Invite every morning for 15 minutes. Then write. Oh. Invite. Don't resist. Every day from 7:15 to 7:30. I'll invite. All kinds of thoughts. Take a time. Half an hour. Invite and write. On invitation writing, it is reducing the power of thought. And then after that, something new thought comes. You explore. So mind is source of so many thoughts. Explore the mind through thought. Pursue every thought. And you will know yourself. That is the source of self-knowledge. Invitation. Active invitation. Not like I will study, no, don't come. All the pleasant thoughts, you write. Painful thoughts, you write. Invite, dive into yourself. Then they won't come. They won't come with so much force. And of course, in what you study, take active interest and discuss like this. Then you are making the learning more enjoyable, but at the same time, you solve the personal issues also. Acceptance of sorrow, acceptance of sadness. That's very, very important. People don't accept, no, I shouldn't suffer. No, suffering is a part of life. Write about it. This is what you felt. When J. Krishnamurti was on his deathbed, he spoke so much about sorrow, but maybe for so many years he did not feel sorrow. But on the deathbed, he said, oh, sorrow, I met you long ago. It is nice to see you. He felt some sadness in the end, but the way he took it is that, okay, nice to see you. I met you long ago. It was an invitation. Inviting sorrow. And I would say in the same way, invite hatred also. Invite jealousy. Don't say, no, jealousy shouldn't come. No. Envy. Let us see it. You are envious. Think of that situation again. Oh, envious. What is it like? Why am I envious? I'm envious because I feel inadequate. I'm envious because I wanted this and I didn't get that person got. Just write. And as you write, your observations become more intense. You will know more about yourself. Envy, jealousy, hatred. The more you accept them in yourself, you will accept them in others. So the world will no longer look like good people and bad people. It will look like a textbook, physics textbook, or a math textbook with problems. You have to solve them. You don't think of math problem. No, this problem should not be there. You will say, the way to know mathematics is to solve problems. How do management students study management? They have case studies. When they study case study, will they feel irritated? No, I don't want this case study. They'll take a case study and analyze. And in real life, in a more complex way, the case comes to you. Same way, analyze and understand. That is the way to learn life. Your personal sorrow is like a window opened to the outside world. It is through that you see the world. Not that I should not have the sorrow. No, that utilitarianism is wrong. It is not maximization of pleasure and minimization of sorrow. Rather, it is through pleasure and pain you understand the world. Through acceptance of pleasure and pain, you see something much more than that, something different, and that is life. And that acceptance is the source of emotional stability. That is, acceptance is source of happiness. So when somebody says you should not have got this, you should not have failed, you will say, no. How can I? No, that's my life. It's like that. To understand the role of sorrow is life. Pain, humiliation, so-called badness in oneself. Not how to be successful, but to accept failure. So these things are the ways by which you are not burdened by your self-image. You open up to the wider world. You open up for wider process of life, and that leads to intelligence. Think about it. Okay, no test tomorrow, no class also.